Static electricity. Folks, welcome to my humble off-grid homestead in the forest. I'm here with you on a glorious day, but just I know it's overcast and all the snow around, but it's only about no gloves, no hood. I might don't have to put it on because I'm feeling the wind now coming from east. It's only about plus 2 degrees Celsius. And for those of you, I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit, but maybe with the wind, it works out to maybe about 0. And at 0, as you know, everything, I guess, is liquid. So I guess we haven't reached zero yet. So maybe it's -2. I'll tell you a little joke before I go back to the static electricity. Recently, in the family, the 2 sisters, one who lives in California, incidentally, and one that lives in another province close to us, 2 provinces over, west of us. And one says of the 3, there's the 3 sisters, but one, okay, just 3 sisters, one in California, 2 provinces over from us, and one here. And one says, the one that's 2 provinces over says to the other 3, "Oh my God, it's -20 here today. So cold." And the one that's here says, "-20? That's luxury. It's like -25, -30 here." And the one in California says, "You know you live in Canada when there's a difference between -20 and -30. I would have died once it reaches -10. And that's hilarious. I thought I would share that with you. But anyway, some of you who don't even get snow, shout out to Shelley, my new friend in New Zealand. Will probably find that funny. Although I may be wrong, maybe some parts of New Zealand does get snow. I don't think so. But anyway, static electricity. Do you remember when you were little, maybe at a birthday party, maybe your own? There was a balloon. You had a balloon, and you would rub it on your hair, and it would put it up against the wall, and it would stick to the wall, and maybe eventually it would start to slide down. So that's like that's how you charged the atoms, molecules, whatever, on that balloon with your hair by rubbing it, and you charged it. I don't know when, but recently I heard this scientist who was playing with his kid, and they had like a stick or a wand, or maybe whether it was wooden or plastic, I don't know. And they were doing the same thing with their hair, whatever, and they were charging. And you can see how it sparks when you touch it too. It's much like when you walk on carpet. I don't have any carpeting, but I remember when I was little, when my parents or grandparents even, that's how far back I have to go to find carpet. When you would walk on it, and you wouldn't always pick your feet up, and maybe sometimes you would drag it, not on purpose, maybe you were tired or whatever, lazy, and you would charge it. And if you touch someone, you'd be a spark, and it would be a charge, right? That's static electricity. And so anyway, this scientist and his kid, it was during the you know what, and then they decided to go outside because they were getting feeling too confined inside, and good for them. They go outside in the backyard or somewhere. I hear some birds. They're starting to come back. I did hear one for a second, and so she uses the wand. She holds the wand close to a spider web, and do you hear them? You know, spring is near. And the wand pulls the spider web towards it, or at least one strand of it. And her dad sees this, and he's thinking, "Wow, that's kind of strange and fascinating." And then he starts this whole study, trying to find out more about such a thing. And long story short, it turns out that butterflies, moths, um, whatever else, when they flap their wings, butterflies flap their wings, flutter. Bees, let's say bees. When bees flap their wings, they are also charging the air around them somehow. And when they go into flowers they're not going into pollinate the flowers, they're going for different reasons, but it just so happens that as a bonus for us, they're pollinating flowers. They're going to collect nectar and put it in their pockets, in the buckets that are on their legs. You know this. And so, but this act of charging the air by flapping their wings, it has a benefit that but we didn't know before. So when it goes in down into the flower head and goes out to get the nectar, whatever, pollen, whatever, some just jump at them, just attach themselves, the pollen, attach themselves to it. So yes, it's true that we've seen them go in there, and then their underbelly or whatever else. If you see a bee, they're tiny. I know it's hard to see because bees are tiny enough to begin with, but then you can see that if you had them under microscope, if you look really closely, and I've set the camera up. I wonder if I made a video of it. If I haven't, I'll do it this year. When they come out of a flower, any particular, so you'll see pollen. They're covered in pollen. Their underbelly or on undersides, maybe sometimes even on their back and their heads too. So that's just like a unintended gathering of pollen by just having charged the air around them somehow. And then he noticed that some beneficial insects are able to charge themselves somehow through evolution or whatever, that the night insects don't charge themselves as much as the day insects, and I'll tell you why. So imagine some flowers that I have here, for instance, are not the St. John's wort, but the common what's it called now? I make the lotions out of. I have videos of it. It'll come to me. They close their flowers at night, sort of like something else that you might know, since I can't think of the name of that. Morning glories. If you've seen morning glories, even twist their flowers in the twisted shut and completely packed. And so you might think, well, why? Well, one reason is that so they're protecting their pollen inside, and really at night there aren't that many beneficial insects anyway for them to go inside, to go from flower to flower. So it's a wasted kind of a resource to be open to predators or maybe something. Because imagine the whole existence of that flower as we see it, the beauty of it and the fragrance that it has, all of that is so that it can reproduce. And the pollen, the most expensive thing, and that's at its core, is the pollen. It's trying to protect. Same as the fruits that we see. I'll come to that in a minute. So flowers close themselves, and so knowing that the morning beneficial insects aren't going to be around anyway, and so insects like moth that are out at night, they don't make as much of this static electricity around them because their predators, well, what they are food for, like bats, I suppose, can pick up on that static electricity, especially bats, because they don't have the vision that we have, but they do have that echolocation. And now we know that since they can't see and that echolocation ability isn't all that they have. They can also pick up charges in the air and then depending on what size of insect it is, how big a field it has, and they can go after it that way too. Isn't that fascinating? So some of the questions I have for you now, and that just blew my mind, and now I have so many questions and possibilities, doors that open to me, and I want to put that to you too. Some of you may have heard that how one of Tesla's ideas was to collect charged particles from the air and send them wirelessly wherever else, the energy. So that's huge. We already kind of know about that. But I mean, it can be debated, and some call it whatever, but let's stay away from that, but go to some of the possibilities. So I have a video called biomimicking. It's actually called not the video, the term is called biomimicry, but it's almost like by calling it that, it's like saying you're copycat, you're mimicking, and I don't like the term, so I just call it the mimicry part, but I just call it biomimicking. So anyway, it doesn't matter, but the point is that what can we learn, what can we use this knowledge for by copying? How can we copy this model? For what applications can we use it for in our own lives? What can we learn from this, and how can we use it for good, obviously? But I mean, for instance, I just one idea. When those wind turbines, right? Oh, I remember the name of the flower. Evening primrose, common evening primrose, also closes its flower. Probably a lot of flowers close up at night. Sorry for the digression. So those giant wind turbines that turn. What if you could harness, charge the air that way? I know you're thinking, well, its whole job is to create electricity. It goes around the turbines that goes in, and then the motor charges it with the coil and the copper wire and the magnet and all that, and then there's electricity. I know, I don't mean that. I mean a secondary source. That obviously everyone knows that, but I mean as the blades go around, I wonder if there's not a charge around that too that we just can't see right now. But I bet you, if we had some of those telescopes that can see like the Milky Way or whatever galaxies far, far away, and they can tell by the different on the rays, like gamma rays or alpha ray, whatever. Maybe something similar to that. I don't really know what I'm talking about. This is not my area of expertise. What is? But the thing is that what if a camera like that could be set up there, not just at night, but anytime, to be able to see if those blades that are going around, there's also a field that it's charged air around it that we can also harvest and harness. I don't know how I feel about wind turbines anyway, because that's kind of controversial. But I mean, if they're already in existence and if they're already out there and if they're already turning, well, why are we not using an untapped secondary source of power from them, if it's possible to do that? I remember about 20 years ago, when YouTube was fairly new, I posted I don't want to say inventions, discoveries is more like it, because it's not like they were always there, only I discovered it. Just like anything else that you discover. Someone once told me, I was saying this actually very same thing to them a few years ago to a neighbor, and he said, you know what Mount Everest was called before it was Mount Everest? And I said, no, what? He said, it was still called Mount Everest. It just hadn't been discovered yet. Do you know what I mean? So it's not like I'm some genius or people that they're not inventors. They didn't invent something. They discovered it. Just like America was discovered or wherever else was discovered. So anyway, one of my things that I posted on YouTube for anyone that wants to take and use, and I didn't even want any money for it. I just thought that, and I just asked that if anybody can use these, it's not trademarked or patented or anything, so that they would share some of that money, put some of that money aside and help someone else with their discoveries, because I don't want to take my discoveries with me to my grave. But and also, by the way, I don't if you know, if you have a discovery or whatever and you have patent for it, all that means is that it doesn't mean it's not going to stop anyone from copying your patents. All that means, copying your discoveries or working model, all that means is that if they do, you can go after them, you can go and sue them. But then it's just a matter of who has the deeper pockets, who has the best lawyers. Doesn't mean that you still doesn't mean that you're going to win. So anyway, so one of these ideas that I had was that these wind turbines, but smaller ones, so maybe the diameter of a foot or so, like that we would put on top of trains, on top of freight trailers, you know, people tractor trailers, like what do you call 18-wheelers or whatever, or maybe even in your car, lower part of your hood. So what I would do is that these machines, these vehicles, whatever you want to call them, they're moving anyway. And so as they're going, that the turbine, the propellers turn, and that generates electricity. Now, it may not generate a lot of electricity, but it might be enough to really keep your car warm in the winter, or have a secondary battery there, so when your car is parked in the winter, for people that live in a setting like this, so it would always keep your car warm when you get in it overnight. But also in the summertime, for people that don't have snow and hotter places, that second battery that's always charged by driving would keep the house air conditioned without your car being running, you know, all the time. Or maybe it could be for your lights or music, whatever. That's just for your car. But for the transport trailers, you know how some of them were called, what do you call them? Reefers, as in refrigerated. So they're carrying stuff, perishable items. So instead of that air conditioning running on fuel, it can be running on the power of the propellers, no matter, regardless of, depending on how many propellers you have, on how many of those wind turbines, little ones, you have on the top of the box, or whatever it's called, the unit where stuff is held inside. And if you look at them, they're fairly flat anyway. It's like a freezer on wheels. So, and the car, the driver is sitting here, so all of that is flat. So why not put those propellers there anyway, and then let them turn? It's not like you're making it any less aerodynamic. It's like pushing your hands, like pushing something solid through the air, and at least you have those propellers in front of it. And so then, and now I'm thinking that can also be used for that, because not only they're moving and charging a motor that can give you power, but it can also, if we are able to charge electricity around, you know, static electricity. And then other things that are, you know, I don't want to say right now, because I don't want to influence what you can come up with. And when I ask you these questions, I don't particularly want you to, I mean, I can't stop anyone from doing this, but I would rather you not going online and doing research. How about this? I'll meet you halfway. Give me your very first initial, whatever that's coming to your mind, whatever ideas, whatever that your imagination is running through your head. And if you've never done this before, and you're thinking, nothing comes to my mind, how can these think that, and what is that? What does all that mean? You know, by watching me do this more and more over and over about different scenarios, different things, different cases, you will build up. It's just like going to school, just like anything else. Just when you hear this repetitive thing, this is why I love if I'm able to do my intentional community, I want to surround myself with people who are in the same sort of a mindset that I can, because I know like this much. I know, you know how much I know, how much I feel like I know some days, most days, is that if you haven't, maybe I'll bring it, I'll put them, I have my gloves, okay, I'll put one on, I'll put some on my glove and I'll bring it over. I hope the camera can pick up, I don't know, but I'll try. If you know how big a snowflake is, single snowflake, one lonely snowflake is about this big. I feel some days, most days, like that's how much I know, right? And this is how much I need to know. I still want to know. I want to learn. And it's insane to think that on one hand, this here probably contains trillions of snowflakes. I don't even know what's bigger than trillion. Just this much here. But imagine how much snow there is here. That's how much I still need to know. And so by surrounding myself with people that know that much, or I shouldn't say know that much, that they've been doing this for perhaps longer than I have, or they so intuitively have this going on in their heads. And oftentimes some people like that come with shortfalls somewhere else. So no one is perfect. I don't want you to think that you feel stupid thinking, or whatever, maybe I shouldn't have used that word, feel less intelligent, yet less, I don't know what the word politically correct, what that less of a cerebral whatever, because everyone has a gift of some sort, and even if it's not even gifts, just like I just said to you, you can build up on it. The more of these videos that I'm particularly making, maybe you'll find someone better presenter, but someone that's more coherent and articulate than me. So the more of this you have, the more your mind will open up. Those parts of your brain will open up. These videos are almost like food for thought, for your brain, for thought-provoking, and you will eventually be able to see things differently and hear things differently. Every time I hear something, someone say something that I find interesting, it's as if many doors have opened up to me, possibilities of what can happen, what can be on the other side. And then once I opened that door, there was a time, I remember once I had a dream, it may have been a dream, I can't remember, maybe it was me in an alternate reality, that I was in a hallway. I was, for days, maybe even weeks, years, I'm going back, there's a stretch of hallway, so the walls on the two sides, I just come out of the door at one end, and it's like a rectangular long hallway, and I walk all the way to the end of the hallway where there's another door. I open that door and I go in. And I do this for days and weeks and months and years or whatever. All of a sudden, one day, I'm walking down to where the path that I usually take to go to all the way to the end of the hallway to get to the door, and there's a door on the side, on this wall, the right side of me, where previously it was just a wall, it was a straight wall, and now there's a door, or maybe this door was open a little bit like a jar, and I would look at, where did that door come from? I've never seen that door before, and it's like it being open ajar, it was almost an invitation for me to open it more, to take a peek inside, be a bit nosy and investigate and see what's going on in there. And this is what I mean. Sometimes in my head, I have another video about that. I have so many thoughts running in my head, so many windows open. Some are minimized, some are closed but not deleted. And then all of a sudden, an idea pops in my head. I think, oh yeah, let's go back. Where was that window? Where was that window? Find that window. This can be something that I can use with the thought that I had about that particular project or whatever I had. And anyway, so I'll not say, well, okay, so I was saying, I'll meet you halfway. Try to think about what other possibilities, applications we can use with this static electricity around us, around other beings that we can find. Like, do I, say for instance, as I'm talking to you right now, as I'm walking, do I have a field around me? I mean, I'm not asking you, obviously we can't see, obviously the conventional thinking is that, no, what are you talking about? But what if there is? So anyway, tell me what you think straight off, right after watching this video. Tell me what you think, what other application, what comes to your mind. Not right after, but just sleep on it. But what I mean is, don't go online, start to use whatever search query that you use, search engine. And then you write down before you do that, write down, and then if you want to go and see if anyone else has said anything like what I just said today, or as if there's a scientist is working on this, maybe someone's PhD work. I don't know. I haven't done this. I don't want to do it yet. Myself, I haven't done it because I want to be free and raw and free of influence from others to find out what I can come up with myself. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just oftentimes we are told, and for so long, for so many decades and maybe centuries, what to think, where to live, who our friends should be, what we should smell like, what we should wear, all these things that we've come almost accustomed to, or almost like dependent on pre-packaged thoughts, of someone else, what the society tells us, what the governments tell us, whatever programmers tell us, or Google tells us, or whatever. I want you to, if you can, I would appreciate if you could just give me your honest first impression on ideas, and then go and do your, if you want to still go on the internet and search it, then by all means. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, I was going to show you some snow if I can. I have to make sure that I get like a very fluffy one, so that if I make it harder, you may not be able to see. How can I show you? I hope this can show you. Am I too close? One flake, I can't see because I don't have my reading glasses on. In fact, I might even need to have a magnifying glass. I'll just bring this closer and closer to you in hopes that the camera is able to pick up on a single. What we're looking for is a single snowflake. I can't see it. I don't know if the camera can. Anyway, that's how much I know, and this entire space is what I need to know. And I don't think I'm stupid or anything. I just I should have used that word again. But I just don't know enough. It's a lot of snow, isn't it? It's a lot to learn, isn't it? It just goes on and on. Okay, well, folks, it was good being with you. I'm going to go inside. It's supposed to rain today and tomorrow, something like maybe in total, something like 30, 40 millimeters. And I don't know how much snow will be here by the end of it, but we will get more snow. We're only first week of March right now. All right. Take good care.